Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Military Mondays. If you and I don't know each other, I am Brenda Sanchez, and I am a retired Air Force major, and I am also the co-founder of Life's Real Currency with my husband, Michael Sanchez, and we help businesses retain their current clients and generate an endless stream of referrals. And every single Monday morning, I like to highlight a veteran or a spouse of a veteran business. So if you are a veteran or even currently serving and have a business, I would love to have a conversation with you and see if you would be a good fit for my Military Mondays. But without further ado, I have a rock star on today. I met Dr. Melissa Balizan. I met her through a networking group here in Colorado Springs, but she's actually in Pueblo, Colorado. So, with everything going on right now, everything's virtual. So I got to meet her, and maybe once things aren't so locked down, we'll get to meet in person. But it was a pleasure getting to know her and about her background. And her husband served in the Marines. I said earlier Army, and she's like, oh no, Marines. And we all know how Army and Marines, it's like, oh no, that's not what I served in. So he served in the Marines. And so tell us a little bit, Melissa, about your military experience first and being the spouse, and what he did. He's retired now, correct?
He's retired.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your military experience, and then we'll get into what you do today and how you help military.
Sure. So, you learn to adapt. I think that's probably the best word is there's always going to be a challenge. There's always going to be something come up. And so you learn to adapt and you learn to work together and figure out what is the best solution so that, your job can take place and your life can take place as well.
And you were also working while he was in, so you were a pharmacist, is that right?
Yes, I am a pharmacist. And so, yeah, been working as a pharmacist for many years, to date myself just a little bit. I have over 20 years experience. So
you started at 12.
Exactly. Exactly. So working, the challenges of working is, two career people and still able to have time, for yourselves and working that in, I think is very important. And for the most part, we were able to do that.
Awesome. So what was it like? I mean, did you move often? Did you have to reset your career every 4 or 5 years?
No, actually, no, I didn't. So he actually transitioned from the military to the federal government. And so he retired from the federal government. He worked as I think I could say this. He was a correctional officer. So he actually stayed in one place. Well, once he got to one place, he moved around a couple of times, but once he finally did get to one place. And so I was still kind of moving around myself at that time, doing some training and different things. So, but once we both got settled, we didn't really have to move around. So that was really good.
Nice. Yeah, that's good, because when you've got two careers, especially as the spouse, it can be very challenging to keep up with your career as you move in the military. So I'm glad that you didn't have quite that challenge that some other military spouses have. Now, what did he was a correctional officer in the federal government, but what did he do on active duty? What did he do in the Marines?
He worked on C-130s.
Oh, okay. So he was an aircraft.
He was aircraft mechanic. Yep.
Awesome. And then, so you've been a pharmacist for many years, but that's not really what you're doing today. You're helping military families and others, but especially military families with stress-related issues or diseases or whatever you want to call it. So tell us a little bit about that and how you went from being a pharmacist to doing that.
Yes. So stress can present in many different facets, and we don't realize that. But what happens is stress has affected our health. It can come as maybe just anxiety. It can come as stomach pains. It could come as cramps or muscle aches or things like that. And so what actually led me to kind of pivoting and changing my direction from kind of reactive to proactive is I actually had a couple of events happen. There was several in our lifestyle. We've gone through some health challenges, both of us. And, we came to this point where it was related more to stress. And so our health started suffering a little bit. And so I really had to really sit back and look and go, okay, how can we make this better? And what can I do for me? And for me, it was better to walk away from where I was at, to lessen the stress on my health and make my health better. So I did that. And I decided that I wanted to help others and help them be able to manage their stress better so that they can either stay in their current position or have the ability and the resilience to change careers if that's the path that needs to go, or change positions, and especially working with the military and the veterans, there's a lot of stress that we're endured with that. There's a lot of changes and challenges and things that you have to keep secret, things that you can't tell anybody. Sometimes you can't even tell your spouse, and that's very stressful. And so now my passion is actually to help the veterans in the military and others, that have had those challenges. We've probably all heard of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and that can come from being anywhere, basically, whether you've gone through a traumatic life event, whether you've gone through, you've been stationed overseas or stationed here in the States. Things can happen that trigger that event. And so now I really help people work through that, so that they can, get to a point where they become stress resilient. Also helping people work through it so that they don't get to that point if they're kind of like on the edge, so that they don't get that tipping point. Because once you hit that tipping point, it's challenging to come back. And so being able to be proactive.
I want to lean in just a little bit if I can, because you talk about being proactive and leaning in. But what are some of those signs? Because many people that are under a lot of stress don't even realize they're under a lot of stress. It's just their normal routine. It's their normal life. And so what are some things that people that are watching can be looking for? Maybe it's a spouse and they're watching their husband or their wife who's in the military deal with stress, and the person who actually is going through the stress doesn't realize it. What are some tips, or what are some identification signs that somebody should talk to you or get help from somebody else?
That's a great question. And some of those signs, so what happens is we start maybe feeling more tired. We start having heartburn. We might start having hives. We might become nervous all the time or feel guilty for something. Maybe we even just start feeling overwhelmed, or we even go where we have thoughts that maybe are not appropriate thoughts that we're having. And so if you start noticing changes that you're thinking, oh, well, this is just a normal sign of whatever, that's not true. So it's probably if you're just, what, I've put up with this, my mouth is dry, I have this rash that comes all the time. If you have those signs or those symptoms, those are some of the things that it could be stress. And so it's very important to get that checked out. If you notice your spouse having, maybe they're more agitated when they come home, maybe at 3 o'clock every day, they have something, they just go into an angry tizzy or fit, and that's not normal. So that could definitely be signs of stress. Those are just I mean, there is hundreds of different symptoms that I could go through, but those are just a few, so those are the different ways that they can present. But what I would say is something that's starting to happen and you're in the back of your mind saying, oh, this is just a normal sign of aging. This is just a normal sign of, because I've been working out more, I've been doing this, so that's why I'm sore all the time. That's not necessarily true. So that's the key where you need to start getting things checked out.
Awesome. So what are some things, some basic things people could do every day? And you didn't know I was going to ask this. So like nutrition or things that you can do to help lessen stress, like just natural daily routines or things that you can do to help minimize that.
So one of my favorite and easiest things to minimize stress is gratitude. Being grateful for what you have, being grateful for what's to come, even if you journal, write it down, being thankful, that gratitude, whether you're praying or just saying it out loud, that's probably one of my favorite things to do and favorite things to actually lessen the stress. And then the other, there's a host of things, but that's probably one of my favorites. And then the other one is to just breathe. And so I was thinking of this the other day, actually, and we've heard it, somebody will tell you, stop, take a breath, just breathe. And we don't necessarily realize that we were hyped up or whatever, but that's the case. And stress can do that to you. You get such and such a tizzy or a frenzy. And so stop and take a breath, especially if you're getting that anxiety or that anger or that whatever. Take a minute, take a breath, and just don't think about it for a second, and then do your answer or do your next thing. So those are probably my top two things that you can do. There's a whole host of other things, nutrition and movement and supplementation and all kinds of different, many modalities. But those are probably my two favorite things.
And they're just simple.
And very simple.
There's things that you can do every day, as you know. I love that. And I love that you started with gratitude, because as you know, I preach that, or I talk about that, and I train on that. And starting with gratitude and ending your day with gratitude, because there are so many health benefits that I didn't realize when I started down this journey to gratitude. The other thing I recommend, and I can't remember if the networking we were in, I talked about this, but take 5 minutes every single day and reach out to as many people as you can via text or Facebook Messenger. And you can't talk about your business. It's only about them thinking of you or how you doing, or, check in with something that's going on in their life, and just focus on other people. And then that takes the stress off of you. And it's amazing some of the texts you get back and how you can make a difference in other people's lives and help reduce their stress. So I'm glad you brought that up. So last thing I want to talk about is your husband now actually has his own business too. And so tell us a little bit about that. I'm hoping to have him on the show, but we'll see if that happens. But if you want to give him a plug in what he does, because he is a veteran business owner.
Yes, absolutely. If he's actually on a job working right now, so otherwise, but we'll try and get him on. He has a business. It's called Eds Toolbox. And so what that is, he does handyman work. And he's great with just about everything, so I have been so blessed and lucky because I can say, hey, I need this done or fix this. So when you have that honeydew list, and that honeydew list is a little bit more challenging for your honey, that's when you call mine. and that's the case, whether it's, a drywall repair, or whether it's a door jam, or whether it's a simple thing, a toilet replaced or something. These are just a few of the things that he's done recently, but that thing that that you can't quite do yourself, and you need to hire somebody, and you want somebody who's heart-centered, somebody who's a veteran, somebody who knows, the ins and outs of the stress that you've been through, and wants to, give you peace of mind to get that piece fixed or whatever it is you need. So yeah, he does that now. It keeps him busy. And after he's been retired now from the federal government for 3 years. And so he needed to pick something up to kind of keep himself busy besides golf, especially today, since we have 10 inches of snow down here in Pueblo. There's no golf for a few days down here. So he spends his time with golfing and then fixing up other things. So he enjoys it, and he enjoys helping people, and just wants to make a difference.
Awesome. So in closing, if you had one tip for military spouses, since you were a military spouse, what tip would you give to help them in life?
In life, one tip, I would say communicate. Talk to each other. Take that 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whether it's the beginning of the day, the end of the day, the middle of the day. If you have to schedule it. But take a minute to talk to each other, because having that communication is very key, because we all have expectations, and most of them are unspoken expectations. And if we don't speak up and let what our feelings be known, they're not going to be known. We don't read minds, neither one of us, male or female. It doesn't happen. So communicate. That would be my 2 words there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on today. If you are dealing with stress, and trust me, we're all dealing with stress, especially right now. If you'd like to talk to somebody, reach out to Dr. Melissa. She'll put her contact information in the comments below. And if you need a handyman and you're here in Colorado, although I know he's traveled outside of Colorado also, so if it's a big enough job, he might even travel outside of the Colorado. I'll have Melissa put Ed's information down below in the comments also. So reach out to them. And if you are a veteran, or you're the spouse of a veteran and you have a business, I'd love to have a conversation with you and see about featuring you on a future Military Monday. So with that, everyone, have a great week, and I will see you next Monday on Military Mondays. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.